We kept some of the stuff. Like this guy was really cool. I don't know. Like I know that your family is like real men. You said something one time. There was like one of the coolest sayings where I was like, "Oh, only a guy who grew up with real men knows what that's called." What's it called when you get like covered? What would your family call it when you've got all, like you got a job and you get all the insurance?
Oh yeah, head to toe bennies.
Head to toe bennies.
Benefits, baby. Head to toe bennies. Yeah. Well, I grew up like my family's Italians and Jews. It's like a real Ellis Island group, you know. Like so, my grandfathers, who were a big part of my life. One died when I was like 11 and the other died when I was like 17, but they were like lived 10 minutes away and they were at my house like every day. We're just old school Depression era badasses. Like my Italian grandpa like fought in World War II in Patton's army, could like fix anything. Like
really? Yeah,
like really like, and he was a young grandpa too. He died young. Like he was probably like, I think he was like 67 when he died. He was just like, but he's like a handsome Italian dude who could like if anything, like even something like this, he could like do it, you know?
That's why I thought you'd appreciate this. The one thing that this guy had was he had made all the boxes for all his woodworking tools out of wood.
Yeah.
So that's
how like real woodworkers do it.
Yeah. He had made all the things to hold all the drill bits. So he made it the way, like, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, Casey Neistat.
Yes.
Well, I don't ever want to shit on Casey Neistat because I'm certain there's a big group that does. Yeah. There are certain things I don't like about vloggers, about the...
Yeah, but I know what you mean, because there's a part of it where you're like, your impulse, especially as a comic, is to be like, I hate that other thing. And then you're like, but he figured it out, though. Yeah, but he figured it out. So like, respect to him, you know?
What's great about Casey Neistat is when you look in his office, because he really has one of those fucking insane brains where he rigs everything so that it's the way he wants it.
Yeah, he's like a gadget freak kind of. That's why he's interesting to watch, because he finds weird things to talk about. The one that I really know of his, I mean, I know a couple of his things, but the one that I found really fun to watch was the one where he was on United Emirates airline, whatever, Arab Emirates airline, and he's in like their crazy first class section where you have your own cabin, and you have a shower, you know, and he's going through it. I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool.
Dude, I've stolen so many of his travel hacks, like where he goes, oh, always keep a carabiner on you. That way, when you have your little bag, you clip it up there and you got everything in your bag.
That's funny.
I implement those because I drink on planes. Like there's certain things that are like travel hacks when you black out on planes. You go, I've lost so many iPads.
Really? People steal them?
No, I leave them on planes.
Oh, you leave them on planes.
You get up and walk off a plane and you're like, oh fuck, I had 3 bags.
You know what's crazy about that too is my girlfriend had a situation where, and I think it was Ryan Hamilton who this happened to, where he left a laptop on a plane, and there was a woman in Queens. There was a flight attendant. The joke was like, the minute you exit a plane, you can't get back on the plane. Even like you step up right out that door, you're not allowed back on. Even if you're like seats right there, which is insane. And then that you say, I left my iPad, and they say, what seat? And they come back and they say it's not there. So these flight attendant, one in particular got arrested in Queens, was like, she just had like a house full of iPads, and there was like, you know, like black market selling this stuff. But what happened to Ryan Hamilton one time is he left the laptop on a plane, and then he did find my computer, and we were at the Comedy Cellar. He did find my computer, and it was like in like some shop in Queens. Like we found, like it was in like a, you know, Quickie Mart or something in Queens. Yeah. So then at the cellar they have those blackboard tables. So I grabbed Chuck. I'm like, here's the plan, boys. You know, it's like, and I was trying to plan a heist to get it back. He's like, I don't want to do that. I was like, we take a van around back. Hamilton goes in, and he's so nice. He starts talking to him. You know, that's when Gary Goldman and I climbed through the window. You know, but yeah. So it's funny that you're talking about blacking out on planes, because that's it. You leave something on a plane, you won't ever get it back.
No, you never get it back. I watched tonight. This is the move for anyone who drinks a lot. This is the move: is you are at the hotel, the show's at like 8, and you've been drinking and you get in early, and then you wake up at like 6:30 and you're like, oh, fuck, where's my iPad? And you're like, shit. And then you go on track my iPad, and I saw mine in the SWATs in Atlanta one time.
Really?
And I was like, God damn it. And I saw it at a house. Mm-hmm. And this is before, you know, putting a lock on your phone was a very big popular move.
Yep.
Isla lost my youngest. We were in Philly this weekend, and she lost her cell phone. And I was like, God damn it. And this is like the day I shot my special on Saturday. This is Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
It's like 5 o'clock. Show's at 7. Isla comes into my room. I lost my iPhone. Now I'm like, great. That's how I'm going to spend my moments leading up to my special.
prepping to get my mind around what I'm about to do. Yeah.
So then she grabs my phone and FaceTimes her phone, right? I don't know why she FaceTimed it.
Yeah. It's a bold move.
Some black guy
the criminal.
Some black guy just goes, hello? And she's like, you have my phone? He was like, yeah, did you leave it in the elevator? She goes, yeah. He goes, what floor are you on? She's like, 32.
And he just brought it to her.
He just brought it up to her.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I gave her $20. I was like, give this to the guy, Isla. And she was like, yeah, thanks a lot. I was, but
I had that happen to me out here last year. I was out here the same time of year, and I went out just because I'm out here alone a lot. So I just go over to like a sushi place walk to my Airbnb. I was like in West Hollywood, and I went to the sushi bar and I got hammered. I just was by myself, and I was just drinking like sake and talking to the sushi chef, and I left and I was just fucking bombed,
Yeah.
And then I took an Uber back to where I was staying because I walked there, but then I came out drunk. I was like, I'll just take an Uber back, and I got home, and 2 hours later, I realized I didn't have my phone. And I grabbed my iPad and had to set it up because I didn't have it to get my phone. And I started texting it, and there's all these text a number, and I'm trying to text my brother, but it's 4 a.m. where he is, and saying can you call my phone? And then I was like, I'm so bummed. And I looked down to find my phone, and it was in Los Feliz, and I found the address, and I Google mapped it, and I was like, fuck. I was like, it got stolen, obviously, from I didn't know if I left it in the Uber or if I left it in the restaurant or what.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. Then I was like, same thing. I was like, maybe I'll drive over there and see if I can get it.
Can I borrow your phone real quick?
Yeah. And then exactly, and then I don't know, maybe 2 hours later, I get a text that's like, hey man, I have your phone. I'm your Uber driver. And the next morning, the guy brought it over to me,
dude,
and he gave it back to me, and I gave him $40, $20, whatever it was. He's like, I can't take this. I'm like, dude, you have to take this money. Because it's not even you don't want to have to buy a new phone, but it's like losing your wallet. It's just everything's
so much worse than losing your wallet.
It's it's just work. It's almost like if you get mugged, you're like, can I keep my license? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
just the legwork.
Yeah, just I don't want to go to the DMV.
Obviously.
Yeah,
dude, losing your phone is one of those moments where you're like, fuck. There was one time when Georgia, my oldest, was probably 13 months old, just walking. My dad said, where's Georgia? We were at his house in Florida. And I said, I don't know. And he goes, is the pool gate up? And I went,
God.
oh, fuck. That's the same feeling about losing your iPhone.
Yeah, well, it's a little worse.
She was totally fine.
Because you can always buy a new iPhone. Yeah. A kid, you got to start from scratch.
Oh,
yeah, but it's weird too because we grew up. I'm guessing we're in the ballpark of the same age.
You're a little younger. I think even when you got to New York, I'm Dimitri's age.
Okay, so you're a little.
I think Dimitri and I are the same age exactly.
Okay,
I think.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we're within a couple years of each other, but we grew up really without cell phones.
Yeah.
So the joke of millennials don't know what it's like to not have a phone. It's but neither do we anymore. That whole concept of those kids don't have attention spans. I'm like, yeah, neither do I. It's ruined everybody. It's completely made you so even I talk about this all the time. It's you remember going to a place and there would be a line and you'd have to stand in line and you just stood in line.
Yep.
If you weren't with somebody, you just stood there and you just stared at the dude in front of you. You looked at the wall. I went to a restaurant in New York the other night with my girlfriend, and I left my phone at the table and I went to pee, but it was now it's everything, not everything, but a lot of places there's co-ed bathrooms. There's one bathroom and now there's a line to pee for a dude, right? Or there was two, but it was co-ed. And I'm standing there waiting, and I didn't have my phone. And I could have gone back to the table and gotten it, but it ended up being a longer wait than I thought. And I just stood there. And I was like, man, this is so weird. This is what we just did. There was nothing to read. There was nothing to do. I just stood there. And I was like, man, standing. And I just started thinking about it so much about how much time people, especially going back before electricity and stuff, must have just sat in the dark. How much time, if you couldn't fall asleep and it was 1784 and you were in your cabin, what did you do? You read the Bible by candle? What were your options, And it's I was how many, on a night of insomnia, you're just I guess I'm just sitting in the dark, It's I can't fall asleep. I'm I'll go play PlayStation or watch a movie or tweet or read a book via iPad, whatever. It's just amazing when you think about that and how we've become so accustomed, even on an airplane, man. Like, I'm mad now, like when DirecTV cuts out. I'm like, you kidding me? I can't watch Animal Planet. It's like, my grandfather was like, that generation was like flying into war, being shot at, on planes.
What was the joke I tried to write yesterday? Because I was like, I stopped using GoGo in flight a long time ago.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Just because I was like, it's a ripoff.
Yeah, if you have an Amex card, you get 10 free a year.
It's a ripoff. It's $14 on my flight yesterday.
Oh, mine was $39 coming out here for the whole flight.
Mine was one flight. It was $14. Maybe I started it mid-flight.
Right.
But I was like, I was listening to a podcast with this guy. Rogan had this guy on his podcast who's a fucking beast. And I was like, Goggins. Did you listen to it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should listen to it. It's fucking...
I'm actually doing his podcast tomorrow. But yeah, that's the thing about Rogan. Like, he gets like... He's like more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
And he'll never admit that. Like, he'll never
of course.
Dom Herrera said, you're more of a man than me. And Joe goes, I wouldn't know about that, Dom. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you definitely are.
Dude, you're more...
I've seen Dom drink white wine in an airport. You definitely are more... By the way, Dom's more of a man than me.
Of course. So, we're not men. But Rogan's from a different, cut of steel,
He really is. He really is. He is, I was unaware, just how many ears he's in. How many ears he's in and how many hours he's in those ears.
Yep.
I was at my family, I was in Philly this week and my whole family's from Philly. So we had a big party at my Nana's house and these 3 17-year-old boys are just obsessed with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And they come down and one cousin's there. The 2 friends drive over, find out I'm there. They drive over, and then they're just like,
"What's Joe Rogan like?"
Yep. And I was like, oh, he's a great guy. But like my relationship with Rogan is very different than what they would ever know Joe Rogan to be. Mm-hmm. I know
you guys are close. You're like you're friends.
Yeah, I know a very different Joe than they'll ever meet, hear, witness ever.
Of course.
And so part of me is like, I'm a little protective. I don't want to be like, he's just as fucking broken as all of us. We're all I don't
want to ruin the.
I don't want to ruin the allure.
The gloss.
He's a regular fucking guy. Like
he is. But my point is a lot of regular guys, which I consider myself a regular guy and a comic who's doubts himself every other minute and all the things anyone who does this kind of stuff has. But he also does stuff like bow hunt and kill elks and then freeze elk meat and eat it. What I mean? He's got the ability. He even just physically, he works out. He's he's consistent. He gets up early. He's disciplined in a way that is impressive, especially in this world. But he can also he also won't not go out. I was in Denver last year and he was there, and I did it. I was doing a showcase at the Comedy Works Denver, which I'm going back to in a couple weeks, and
place is great.
It's amazing. And but then I was there Thursday and an early show Friday because I was showcasing my hour for Showtime, and then Joe had the shows the rest of the weekend, so I hung out with him. And then I went to watch one of his shows, and then Chappelle came on after Rogan went on and did 45 minutes, he was in town. So afterwards, and I was with my girlfriend too. Afterwards, I went out with the 4 of us, went out and a couple of Chappelle's friends, and I don't know Dave really at all, and I don't think he was he was fun to hang out with, but I don't think he was a huge fan of me. He loved my girlfriend though. But I could tell you that Rogan, he's not I gotta go home and take creatine. He was out with us till
he likes to get down
4 a.m, boozing and hanging out, and that's what I mean. It's a lot of dudes who live that kind of MMA lifestyle, wake up at 5 a.m. They don't put they won't drink, they don't have all these strict rules. He's no, he still enjoys himself. I mean, I don't know how much, but I'm saying he'll still go out late and hang out and not be I got to get up and work. He's he can that's the thing I respect about him is I know a lot of dudes who live disciplined life and then they lose this other fun part of their personality.
Yeah, he hasn't lost his fun part.
And he hasn't lost his fun part at all. That's why I'm so impressed with him. He's not he's not sorry, bro, I got to wake up for my 5 a.m. kettlebell class. He's yeah, let's go.
He also likes a challenge. So there is a part of Rogan that I always think if he is going to party, then he goes, oh, then I'm just pushing it that much harder tomorrow. He loved, he got into jogging because he sucked at it.
And he's why do I
fuck it to anything they suck at?
I know.
I only do things I excel at.
Yeah, dude, I only do things I have a natural propensity to do.
Yes.
And then the minute I doubt my natural propensity, I'm I think I'll quit that thing too.
Notice I don't paint, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I have the exact opposite instinct. Like I hate running, so I avoid it as much as I can avoid it. You know, but what was that guy? Who's the guy that was on this podcast?
David Goggins.
Okay, what is his story? Because I don't know. I'll listen to it.
Embrace the suck. Like he was overweight. You should. I mean, listen to it, but it's a guy who decided he was like 300 pounds, decided he wanted to be a Navy SEAL, had to lose 100 pounds in a month.
This was at like 18 or something?
Yeah, like 18, 19, lost 100 pounds and went through Navy SEAL camp 3 times, the Navy, whatever it's called.
They have a TV show.
Hell Week
or whatever, yeah.
Went through it 3 times. By the way, couldn't swim, was terrified of the water. So he's the kind of brain, and I think Joe connected with him on this a bit, but he's the kind of brain that was afraid of the water, so he spent as much time in the water as he could.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's a really inspirational play, but I'm on the plane and it cuts out, like it ends. Like
you didn't download enough before the flight took off.
So I was like really into this podcast because I'm running the LA Marathon in a couple weeks.
Oh wow.
And
that's impressive. Have you done it before?
No.
Okay.
But see, that's the big difference between me and Rogan is like I go, oh yeah, I could do it. And then Joe's like, no, you haven't been working hard enough to do it. And then I go, yeah, but roll the dice.
I'll do it.
Yeah, roll the dice.
Yeah.
I did a half marathon with no training.
Really?
And it was...
how have you been training, though? Like,
I actually have been training for this. I'm running pretty hard. I'm running 5 miles a day. I'm running 4 of the miles fast and running fartleks is like a way to run. It's where you sprint, jog.
Fartleks, it's called?
It's the name of the thing, yeah. So you like sprint for like a 7-minute mile, and then you jog at what your pace is. It's a way to increase your base pace, so that I want to try to run this marathon in under 5 hours.
Right.
And so in order to do that, I've got to run roughly like an 11-minute mile. So right now my base...
You have to average in 11 minutes over the 26.
Over the 26.
So when you sprint a mile, how fast...
I can do an under 7-minute mile.
Wow.
Right now.
That's impressive, dude.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get to that place? I mean, have you always been a runner?
I've always been a runner. I've always been naturally athletic.
Right.
Like I was played baseball, got recruited to go play college baseball.
Oh, you were actual real athlete. Yeah.
And my dad was a real big runner. And so I've always been able to run. I've always been like, me and Segura took these running classes together, like at Barry's boot camp. And Segura's not a natural runner.
Treadmill class?
Yeah, treadmill classes.
Right.
And I just like it. I like it.
And how did he fare?
But he was also smoking at the time. So he would literally get out of class and light a cigarette.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
And so right now I'm running pretty strong, but I'm listening to this guy going, the only thing you got to get over in a marathon is the mindset. Because like when you start looking at it and going, okay, I've done 2 miles. I have 24 miles left. That can overwhelm you. It gives you like panic. And so I want to get to the place where where I embrace the suck. So I'm listening to this guy. He does ultra marathons too. And so I was listening to him. Anyway, the joke I was trying to get to, which by the way, I'm going to fuck up because I didn't write down, because I'm done my hour. So now I'm like, brand new material.
Yeah.
Is Go in flight is you have a relationship with it, like calling a girl and going, hey, we're gonna hang out tonight. She's like, I would, but I'm with my boyfriend.
Right.
And you're like, okay. And you just got to be cool with it.
Yeah.
You're like, I understand. So that's what I feel like the whole time I'm go in flight. I'm like, no, she's got a boyfriend. I get it. I get it. But you know what? If I get a little action on the side, maybe some website will pop up. That'll be fine.
Occasionally.
I'll
take a little taste.
Take a little side. Yeah, a little taste. That's fine. Yeah, thanks. Go in flight.
It's funny too, though, because you could be on a girl from Florida here yesterday to meet me. I've been here like
is this the same one, blonde hair?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I read, I don't know why. Oh, I know why. But I read some article she did about skincare.
She's a hairstylist and does she gets like, she's a New York City like kind of fancy pants hairstylist, so she ends up in a lot of those like articles about like hair cares, those like health and beauty kind of like blogs and magazines pick her up like, because she's pretty and uses,
She was saying she doesn't use high-end face cleaner. She just uses Cetaphil. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because I have this thing on my cheek that I've had for fucking 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's
she knows a lot about like that world of like, it's like she just said to me the other day, she goes, there's a face cream that people buy by like, Metti, whatever French company, and it costs like $400 for like 4 ounces. And she's like, and they have the exact same one at CVS for $7. It's just
serious?
like what's in the cream, like it's like kind of like life hacky stuff, because I always joke around with her about I used to like I've worked in TV for a long time, producing and writing, and then I like did the Daily Show for a number of years, and then I like left. And I left the Daily Show. I was running it. I was executive producer. I started as a production assistant, but I left as the executive
I want to
producer.
talk to you about this.
But my point being, I left because I just was like, I want to do stand up full time, and you can't do stand up and run a TV show.
You can,
like I did a half-hour special while I was doing the Daily Show, and it suffered, because I was putting like 10% of myself into stand up, and like, I always say I put 110 in, so I put 100% in the Daily Show. But and then I came out here, and then I was digging it. I was like writing a pilot, and like that I had sold. So I was like, it was like a part-time kind of job, and I was on the road doing stand-up, and I was doing it full-time. And then I got a call to do the nightly show, to run it, and I was like, nah. And then they were like, no, you could be on it. So I went to do that because I wanted to be on camera,
Yeah.
And then that got canceled like about a year and a half ago, and then I just stayed in New York. But so my joke with my girlfriend is that there was a period of time when we started dating that I was running a TV show. So like I was like, yeah, you need some face cream, get some face cream, And now I'm just doing stand up full time. I'm like, you should find the CVS face cream. But like that's just like what this business is. Like sometimes you're flush, sometimes you're not. And so I always just joke around with her now, like that she's like developed all these life hacks since I'm like doing stand up. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, you got to figure it out right now because
maybe you should start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, because I'm like, I'm like the next time I'm making money is I'm like, I'm going to Rhode Island in 2 weeks to do, it's so funny. I can't even remember any of the clubs because they're all like. Do you find that when you're doing a lot of shows in a row, it gets confused? You're like, was I in Rhode Island last week or was I in?
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember where I was last week ever.
Ever, right? Like
Ever.
I get so confused because it's like. And then there'll be like a month where I'm just in New York doing stuff or whatever, and then there's like a month or two where I'm like, I got a lot of gigs back to back, and I get like. You're flying to like, like I'm going to Rhode Island to the Comedy Connection for a weekend. And then like I come back and then I'm flying to like Wisconsin to the casino in Wisconsin. I forget what it's called right now. It's like a Native American. I'm trying to be politically correct. Casino in Wisconsin, and then I fly from there to the Comedy Works in Denver. And it's like I'm not coming back.
Are you going? So when you do the road, you go straight out?
Not always, but sometimes it depends. Like my attitude on the road, particularly because I don't, I'm not like a name. My hour that I had this hour I taped over the summer that I was supposed to go to Showtime. That I had sort of a falling out with my management. Like it's a long story, but like
I'm dying to hear it.
I know.
You know that's the gossip I love hearing.
I know it's one of those things I like almost like legally can't talk about. But I have new management now. Much.
Who's your manager
bigger,
now?
James Dixon, who's like big. He's like Jon Stewart's dude and Colbert's guy and Kimmel's guy. Like, he's like I've known him for years because I worked with Jon Stewart for so long. But he watched my hour and was like, I love it. Like, let me try to get this thing out there, And it's hard. It's a hard time if you're not like, I'm like a 40-year-old straight white guy, which is like at the moment not like. By the way, can't complain about being a straight white guy. We've had a pretty good run. You know what I mean? And like I actually agree that like we need more representation in this industry. I've worked in it a long time, and I can tell you like that's not a wrong instinct. Like it's a very privileged industry because you have to have, and again, I didn't grow up rich, but like I had the opportunity to get an internship at Letterman because like my friend from college's older sister's roommate was an assistant there, and I got it in, which most people don't even have an opportunity to access a person like that, and I did because I got to go to college. And then when I got my internship at Letterman, I was able to like live with my parents on Long Island for free and like take a train in every day that like my dad paid for the monthly ticket, and I didn't make any money for the summer, but I was able to not make a lot of money for the summer because I had a place to live for free and like food in my parents' fridge, so it was like if you don't have the like backing to do that, you don't get to like get an internship. And then that internship led to another gig through that same friend who got me in it. Her sister's friend heard they needed a PA at the Daily Show, and I was able to, so it was like, then I got that gig at the and look, I worked my ass off, dude. Like I came into the Daily Show and there was all these like Ivy League dudes who were like writers, and they made me feel like a
Ray James.
Yeah, Ray had left when I was there, but and Ray was like more like kind of a scrappy stand-up dude. But
Baby Attell, was that what they used to call him?
Oh yeah, I don't. But it's funny. He would come in still and do like voiceover stuff when I started working there. But I just was like, I was in this position of thinking I was like funny, and then realizing that nobody cared, and like I was, so I had to like. I was a PA, and then I was like the tape librarian. And it took me like 8 years of being there and like eating shit and having these dudes make me feel like I was not. I do actually do a bit about it in my hour where I say, they made me feel like I was too dumb and whatever, couldn't write there, and then so I developed. What the Italians call a vendetta, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm going to stay here until I'm running this place, And I ended up being there 14 years, but part of the reasons I stayed so long was because I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to climb every rung on this ladder and I did. I ended up being the EP, I was like running the whole place, and then I was doing that for a couple years and like, getting paid pretty well and all that stuff. And I had that epiphany I was like, man, I'm 35 years old and I'm not doing the thing the thing I set out to do is this, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. Yeah. So I'm doing it on the side, and I'm doing it here and there, and I'll open up for Lou Black occasionally, and I'll go out with Oliver before, he really blew up and all that stuff. But that's not doing it. Doing it is this, which is, I don't know, like, I don't know what's next.
And going like, I don't know. And I don't know if this is going to pan out.
Yeah, and people thought I was crazy. Like, you're leaving that job for this? And I was like, yes, because if I don't at least take a swing at it, I couldn't, it's like you can't sleep at night. And everyone's like, yeah, but the money. And like money does, believe me, like, you don't think money matters if you're making it, but then when you're not, you're like, oh shit, I guess it mattered more than I thought. I'm like, man, maybe I paid for too many dinners, I could have had more in the bank. But it's still, there's an exhilaration in going after the thing you want to do. And like I've told people, like I did the nightly show because I wanted to work with Larry because I thought it was cool, and I actually was really into the idea of doing working on a show that was like more diverse, and like we really went out of our way to. Larry and I both to like really make that like an extremely diverse staff and really bring people into the industry, even if they lacked an experience. Like I met a dude on a USO tour in Afghanistan who like approached me in like a forward operating base in the middle of nowhere in like Kilagai province and like, like Western Afghanistan, where we were like, I don't know if you ever did one of those, but we were, like, they like Black Hawk you to different bases. It's crazy. You like travel via Black Hawk. It's one of the,
I don't know if I could do that.
Oh, you could. It's like that story you were just telling about. You just go, yeah, I'm too scared to do it. And then you get there and you're like, not only am I not scared to do it, I wish I could do more because these guys are so badass. Yeah. And they appreciate it so much that you come out there. They're like, what are you doing here? And we're like, and you just like stand on the back of a flatbed and do a stand-up do a stand-up show. And then you like hang out and eat with them and chill and shoot the shit. And then like, it's like Uber, like two Blackhawks, like, see you boys. And then they take you to the next place. It's really cool. But, there like, a guy approached me, this guy, Sergeant Ginter, and he's like, I really want to get into TV when I get out of here, and I was like, he's like, I don't know if I have the skill set. I'm like, dude, you're in a war zone. You could handle like working at a TV show, I don't think you realize what TV is. So we kind of stayed pen pals. And then when I started the nightly show, he was available. I hit him up. I hired him. So we were doing a lot of that. Like Larry and I were bringing people in who like either didn't have experience or just didn't have the opportunity. And which is why I think what made that show for me a really fun experience. And I got to be on camera, which was fun. But, it really became part of like my belief system in like so I like I said, it's weird because now I'm in a position where it's like that philosophy is almost working against me because it's like, Netflix is like, well, we don't need another straight white dude to do a special. And I look at the thing, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm a producer. I'm looking at the lineup. You don't. Yeah. And so I'm not resentful about it, but at the same time, I'm like, man, like bad timing on my part, like that I got, and I'm really proud of my hour, but like, it's harder to sell than you think because it's just a time, like so it's a weird catch-22. It's like, it's hard for me to sell tickets because my hour's not out, but it's hard to get my hour out because, like, it's like that. So I'm trying to figure out that, but it's interesting because that becomes the next challenge, which is, well, what's the thing? Like, what do I need to do?
I call it cutting the sleeves off your comedy.
Yeah.
This is going to sound silly, but like, I've been obsessed with this theory is because as a white guy to sell tickets, you do need that identifiable thing, that stamp, that like Larry the Cable Guy.
Done.
Yeah.
I was literally just going to say that. Yeah.
Cutting the sleeves off your comedy. I hate to say this, but like, when I took my shirt off, when I did my last hour, Showtime was not comfortable with that. And I was like, yeah, but this is what I've been doing on the road.
So I got to do it.
So, and I'm not going to but I'd back myself into that corner. Like Tom had already started fat shaming me, and it was not. I was thinking this is a bad idea, but I haven't done stand up with a shirt on in like 7 years, so I don't know what this is. Because I was just living on the road. I was living on the road, going like, this is what I do. You know, fuck it. It's just Thursday night. It's not like I'm not preparing for anything. It's just Thursday night, and I want to have fun. Fucking take my shirt off, have a few drinks, do a show. Thank you, good night. You know. And so when I did it, I was like, oh shit. And then I just got off the phone with Tom as you were walking up. But Tom was saying, you know, what's great is that he was like, I heard someone say the other day, like, oh, the guy with his shirt off when he does stand up. It's cutting the sleeves off your comedy where people can identify you as the guy who does a thing.
And it's funny too, because I remember when I first started doing stand-up, like early on, and you would like, you know, trying to get into clubs, and like a guy like Lucian Holt. I don't know if you were
told me I was never gonna make it in this business.
Yeah, me too. You know, and then I'm like, I'm never going back to that guy. He died. He ran the comic strip in New York.
He died a really horrible way too.
Yeah, he did. And getting past there was like a thing. You have to get a lottery number and the whole thing. But
looking back at that though, I'm so glad I never passed there.
Well, but it's interesting because I had like this weird thing happen to me with stand-up where I started doing it, and one of the things I was doing on the Daily Show around like 24, 25 as the footage guy is I would find Lewis Black, because at the time Lou would come in every week, once a week he was on the show.
This is before Lewis was famous.
Yes, but he was just starting to break, and from the Daily Show, and every week he was there, the segment Back in Black. So my job became, I had to find all these weird stories for Lewis and be like, what the fuck are they doing in Ireland? You know what I mean? And I'd find these weird, whatever. I would go through the AP news feeds, and we had these like...
You're going to have to slow this down for them, because once again, all these kids without phones are never going to realize that this wasn't just in your Instagram feed.
Oh yeah, there was no internet.
I mean, you had to find stuff.
Yeah, the internet wasn't a place where video even existed yet. Like the speed of the internet didn't really support video yet.
So put this in perspective.
So like
how many hours a day were you going?
Tape based.
Everything
was tape based, and not only was
Shut up.
Yeah, so we were literally we would have like CNN on in our office there all day. So if we heard something, we'd quickly jump in and like record it, you know, or we just had a tape running and then we'd like mark the time. It was all time code tape based. So we even had an online edit room, and I worked in an online edit room for years. There, an online edit room is a linear editing system. So it's tape to tape. So basically you're in this huge room. It's like the size of a television control room, and it's one editor and an assistant editor, and you're up at this big table. And it was at Sony Music Studio on 10th Avenue, where it was amazing to work there, because it was still like the music industry still had like some footing, you know, and they were still like Tommy Mottola was running Sony Music. It was like a time when so dudes would go into Sony to record their albums, you know. This was before like GarageBand and like technology being in like your basement. And so I would like be working in Sony Music Studio, and like I'd go take a piss. Like I had spirituals where like I'd go take a piss and I'd walk in the bathroom and I hear like, and it would be like Steven Tyler warming up his pipes against the tiles like while he's at the urinal, you know, and I'd be like peeing next to him, and he'd be like, skibbity boop bop boo, you know, and I'd be like, what's up, dude, you know, and he'd be like wearing like green leather pants. But the online editing room, it required so much space. It was like a, you know, I don't know, 800 square foot like elevated lofted ceiling space, and one dude, and it was like monitors and each tape, so you'd make a selection and he'd hit record and it would record the choice, and then you do the next choice. But if you had to go back, you had to start over. Like whereas an Avid, it's just like, slide this here, it's all digital. It's non-linear, it's called. Linear means like you're recording in order in line, so your times have to be perfect. Because it has to, the tape, when you're done, the tape has to be 21 minutes and 30 seconds long. Not 21 minutes and 31 seconds, not 21 minutes and 29 seconds. Like it has to be, so all of your timings, you have to go, well, let's take that. So I used to do this thing called the Global Edition, which was like a best of the week of the Daily Show. So I'd go over there and I'd have my like 5 choices of what I thought the best things were, and then I'd have to go and assemble them, and then he'd be like, well, we're gonna come up a minute heavy. I'd be like, all right, we'll cut out of that joke here, slide that back. Like it was, you know, it was challenging only because the technology was limited. So I was doing a lot of that stuff. And so for Lewis, we would have these AP news feeds come in on a daily basis that they still have, I'm sure, at the Daily Show coming in that they pay for. Then of course, once we got TiVos, TiVo's changed our life in a big way. I remember.
I can remember the year this TiVo started.
Yeah, and like when we started using TiVo, and then this other technology came out as I was like moving out of the footage world when it got easier. And I don't mean like, here's the thing about how Jon Stewart operates, why the show was so successful, is because as the technology increased, and it's actually one of the reasons I think I moved up there, but like, you know, we would sort of push it and go, well, look, now we have the ability to do A, B, C, and D. So let's change the process. You know, let's change, like, you know, so there was a period of time when I first started working there where like the writers would think of something and we'd have to search it and find it and see if it existed. And then like I would start sort of having conversations with John and go, listen, man, like, you know, you give me a couple funny dudes in this room, because I started sort of managing that room. You give me a couple funny guys, like we'll just bring you stuff that's already interesting for the show, which will save the writers time of having to like figure out what might exist, and then we can bring. So like, you know, we started like sort of producing the show in a different way, and then our ability to search for things. This company invented this software where you could search the closed captions of any show. So it became, John would come in the morning and go, see if we have any like Republicans saying the phrase, you know, from my cold dead hands, or whatever it is, or some Democrats making this point. Because like you start to notice talking points. You go, wow, Fox News is really driving this one talking point. Let's see how many times over the last 48 hours Fox News has said this phrase, like, you know, George Bush is an intrepid president, whatever it was, and then we'd search it, and we got 28 of them, and then we'd start making those montages, which now is like, it's funny because that was really Jon Stewart's vision, where these like white flash montages of sort of finding these like consistencies of people saying the same thing or people arguing their own points. And he really was the guy who came up with that, and we were doing it about the news all the time and showing Anderson Cooper do stupid shit or showing Hannity do stupid shit, and now they're doing it. That's like they had to deliver the news now. Like on every news channel, it's like they'll flash, white flash. Here's all the times Trump said this, flash, flash, flash. Like those white flash montages is really, I attribute to Jon Stewart, because he really put that out there. And it's funny because it was our way of making fun of the news. Now it's their way of delivering the news.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Is that in a weird way, you guys kind of showed them how to do what they're doing now. Yeah, and you guys were and everyone always thinks you guys were like a big liberal thing, but I always found you guys to be make fun of whatever's funny.
That's really was the philosophy. I think the show became popular during the Bush administration, and we had like Cheney and Bush, so we had a lot of fodder on those guys. Yeah. And people were saying to us, how are you going to do it when Bush leaves office? We're like, we're just going to do the thing we've been doing, which is making fun of the dudes in charge. It's just a truth to power thing. Like, it's really all it is. And they couldn't believe it, man. When that election happened, when Obama was going against Hillary, we started making fun of Hillary. Our audience, and you know, John's a stand-up. Yeah. And you know, as a stand-up, when you're doing a good joke and the audience is bothered by it, you love it. You love it. Yep. No, you don't love it if you're like questioning if the joke is good. But when you know it's good and they get upset.
It's like when a girl gags when she's blowing you. You're like, oh, yeah, that's not the noise I'm looking for, but that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened. Because it just makes me feel good about myself. Yeah. But so is that, like, I would, at that point I was like in a higher position there. So I was like, one of the executive producers, and I was like going between commercial breaks, because we taped in time. I was the guy going to the desk to talk to John about the previous act. And that's when you really, John and I are still pretty close. I mean, I talked to him a lot and all that, but I could tell you that, like, that's when I really started to, and I always knew he was like beyond genius, and I mean that sincerely, because when you're working with somebody like that, people, like, one of the other reasons I stayed as long as I did is because I was like, I'm working with like Steve Jobs as he's creating app. Like, I'm next to a dude I've met a lot of people, man, and I know a lot of stand-ups, and I know a lot of funny people, and I know a lot of comedy writers, and like, there's no one I've ever met that has a more well-rounded base of knowledge in my entire life. Like, Jon Stewart can argue with not only argue, but like have a in-depth conversation on economics and about the like 1967 Mets lineup, or about like, and he's like also good at sports. Like, he's like one of the most well-rounded. He's not just, some people are very smart on a certain topic. He seems to be very smart on all topics. And if he doesn't know a topic, he can like absorb the information at a pace. Like, I would go in his office sometimes and he'd be reading a book of some author that was on that if you had a talk show, you'd be like, can we just get like one of the girls from Gossip Girl on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to read this like 400-page Doris Kearns Goodwin book on like, you know, Lincoln or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd go in his office and he'd be like, you know, cracking the binding. And then I'd go in like 2 hours later and he'd be like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through it.
Jesus.
And then he'd be, so, you know, it's not like he had like, we had researchers and we had a lot of smart people around him supporting him and giving him ideas and things. But, you know, there was the feeling that dude could really just do it on his own. You know, I mean, you need a support staff because it's a lot of shows a week. But the guy was brilliant. He would come in the morning with like, this is how we're going to get these bastards today. And sometimes those bastards were Obama. Sometimes those bastards were Hillary. You know, there was a bulk of 8 years where a lot of it was Bush, but we would rip the Democrats for sucking at going after Bush. Like, this guy's doing this and this, and you guys can't get footing over him. John Kerry can't win after the first 4 years of that presidency, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, there were moments when I'd go up to the desk, like when we'd be making fun of Hillary, where he and I would be like, yeah, man, that was awesome. You know, like how upset they are, you know, because it's like a bunch of 21-year-old liberals who are like, you know, coming down from Columbia or you know, to like watch the Daily Show and Jon Stewart for president, you know, and then he'd be like, yeah, here's why Hillary sucks. They were like, what is he doing?
Wait.
Why? That's the wrong side. And it was like, it felt good, you know, it was really fun for us. And like we did a piece, one of my favorite field pieces of all time was Samantha Bee at Zuccotti Park when they were doing Occupy Wall Street. And it was, you know, this whole 1% versus 99%. And she went down to the park, and it was about a week or two into that protest. And at that point, a caste system had formed within the 99%. So you had this like 1% within Zuccotti Park of these like bourgeois Brooklyn Heights Park Slope Volvo driving liberals who were on the top tier of the park, and then a few steps down were the drum circled hippie liberals who like smelled and like had white dudes with dreadlocks. And she did this incredible field piece that was the like sort of exposing that caste system where you had all these like, oh, this is our lending library and everything is here is for sharing. And like, you know, so she's talking to some guy with an iPad. She's like, oh, that's cool. Hey, can I give your iPad to that guy in the drum circle? Like, no. Oh, so not everything's for sharing. You know, like just destroyed the entire absurd premise of that place. And that to me was, and especially as a comedian, and like that's what I love, you know, and I really try to do on stage is like I don't think there's such a thing as being one-sided as a comedian. I think your job is to like
be a cynic,
and just expose hypocrisy and untruths and absurdities, you know. And like I don't know, I really tried my hour. I really tried to hit. And I don't just talk about politics in my stand-up. I try to do some silly stuff in there too. But I really tried to have sections of like making fun of like Christian right. I have a whole section making fun of the Christian right for trying to straighten out gay men. And then I have a whole section complimenting but also teasing transgender people. You know? And I've had liberals get really upset about it. And I'm like, but I've had transgender people come up to me and hug me and be like, that was great. That's really
the weird
funny
thing about the transgender. There's a lot of almost like
white guilt,
back and forth within the LGBTQ community. I don't even know, Q's not in there anymore. Is it?
I don't know.
The gay community, and then transgendered, and then I was listening to something, reading something today, and I was like, the whole concept of being born this way, like if you're born gay or not born this way. Because that is the big divisive thing, because half of the people say, no, this is a choice. Half of the gay people say, this is a choice. And then the other half say, no, I was born this way.
Right.
And the people say, this is a choice. They go, well, if you tell them you were born that way, then they can isolate that gene and they can start aborting gay babies. And so, so you're like in the middle of it going like, oh my God. And then with the...
or aborting straight babies. Or considering gay people seem to be a better group.
That's what I like about you is that I'd heard you, I think maybe both times on Rogan, but I had heard you another time on something, and this is going to sound so silly, but you and Geraldo grew up around the same areas, and you guys sound alike.
Oh, really?
The first time I heard
that is like probably the greatest compliment anyone's ever given me.
And you guys are both you're both almost identically minded people, very very intelligent, very liberal, but more cynic liberal. Like I'm socially liberal. I'm like, you're like liberal like me.
Yeah.
Like almost like not proletarian. What's the libertarian?
Libertarian. Yeah. I mean, I think the term libertarian has been hijacked now by like a sort of more of a Tea Party group of people. But I really do think that like liberals bother me. I can't say as much as the right, but almost as much, because and my biggest issue, and again, this is the thing I at least in this last hour I did. Now I'm trying to work on, like you just said, a bunch of new stuff. I'm like really trying to, and also trying to like, that's why I think Chappelle is just so amazing, because musicians do, and I think I maybe even talked about this with Rogan once, but I do look at comedy like music. I think it's like you either have an ear for it or you don't.
Yeah.
In other words, you can learn to play the piano, but it ain't the same as when you just. So funny people who can deliver a joke just have. It's the thing you were saying. You lean into something you were good at. Like, I wasn't really good at much, but I was always funny. So I was like, well, maybe I can make a living on that. Like, if I was really good at baseball, I would have given that a shot.
I'm always shocked at the people who weren't funny in high school that became comedians.
Yeah, I know. And by the way, there's just maybe just a discipline to that. Like, look at a guy like Dimitri.
Yeah, I love Dimitri.
Just gonna say that.
He is not funny. Like, I mean, listen, he's hilarious.
Yes,
but being around Dimitri, he is not a funny guy.
He's not like Riffington funny. You know what I mean?
And he's not giggling.
Yep.
He's just
and if you eat out of the restaurant with him, he's like stands up and gets his own silverware because he's like from the diner world. You know, where he grew up.
But he's a great guy. I am definitely
one of my favorite guys. He's like he's one of the nicest, coolest, sweetest dudes you ever met, and again, smartest. 1600 on his SATs, can write with both hands, different things simultaneously. I mean,
he's next level.
The guy is next level.
He really is, like, legit. I'm saying this from he
practices. I mean, there was a period of time where he was doing stuff on the Daily Show, and I was producing it for him, and we became very close. And he was working on not just being ambidextrous and that he could write with both hands. In other words, I'm signing my name now with both hands, meaning I'm doing the same movements on. So he was working on writing something with this hand that's different than what he was writing with this hand. So think like, so in other words, I'm signing my name for you, and I'm writing my phone number for you. Like, I can't even, like, it's hard for me to even, for my brain to even grasp the concept of doing that, let alone think of it and then practice it and then begin to master it. You know? I mean, the he's gifted, but I know what you mean, but I do think that. And I'm not saying that he has an ear for comedy.
He definitely does.
In other words, he has a savant level ear for it. So my point is, you can't teach someone timing like he has timing.
Yeah,
it's like, and I think that's true with music. Like I'm not really that musically inclined, but like in the sense of like I could play a couple of chords on a guitar or whatever, but if it came to like, hey, we're doing this at 1/8 speed, and then, I'd be like, oh, slow it down, hold on, Yeah. But stand up, I always looked at like. Or comedy is music, so I would always look at like writing comedy for like a guy like Jon Stewart. That's like composing. I'm writing a song for Britney Spears, like that's like I'm composing. I'm not performing the music, but I'm a songwriter, And then it's for me, stand up is like, all right, well, I always think of a dude, a musician I love who I don't think gets enough credit is Warren Zevon. Credible songwriter, totally badass dude. Said one of the most influential things I've ever heard anyone say about death. Which he was on Letterman. He was diagnosed to die. He had like terminal cancer, and he went on. Letterman was a huge Zevon fan, and he had him on a bunch. And in Letterman's interview, it's a great interview to watch. And he's like, "I'm going to die in 6 months, Dave." Like he knows he's going to die. It's his last Letterman appearance. And Dave says, "All right, Warren, like you're going to die. What's the big takeaway? What's the thing you feel and have learned from where you're feeling?" He goes, "Dave, you got to enjoy every sandwich." That's it. Enjoy every sandwich. And I was like, that's the most profound. Yeah. That's the most profound thought I've ever heard anyone have on death. Which is like, but it's the same thing as like, don't sweat the small stuff, whatever. But it's just enjoy every sandwich. And he says it. He goes, "I did, man. I've lived a great life. I've had fun. I've like enjoyed myself. I don't have a lot of regrets about the way I did things. And it." I don't know. There's like something pure about that, and like being fearless even at the end is something cool about it. Who knows at the actual end how he was feeling, but even to be able to say that on television is pretty amazing. And I think about it because Yvonne's one of those dudes. He's like an amazing songwriter, and there's so many songs he wrote that you've heard so many ways. But he also had his own music and his own albums and his own things. But he was never, he was never Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? He's not thought of like, you don't hear kids talking about him still or anything.
No,
but,
what do you think?
I like that career in my head. I'm like, it doesn't have to be, my stand-up might never become. You might not, most likely aren't going to be Bill Burr or Dave Chappelle or one of these dudes. None
of us are. But by the way, Burr's not. But I don't think Burr sees himself as Bill Burr. The way we see Bill, Bill wouldn't say. Bill goes, you're putting too much thought into it.
Of course he does, because he's like one of the most modest, humble dudes there are. But he can do stuff on stage that most people can't do, which is he can take you down a road on a topic where everyone backs away. And that was one of my favorite hours. You people are all the same when he's on stage and he starts talking about hitting women. And there's like 3,000 people in the room. Yeah. And he goes, they keep saying, don't hit women, don't hit women. Right, of course. I mean, he says, they don't deserve to get hit. And he's like, now wait a minute. And then and everyone's like, ooh, he goes, I feel you pulling away. And he like steps towards them. That's something I always think about on stage. You bring up a hard topic. Your impulse is to go, I'm just kidding. Have a shit in the toilet and it splashes up on you. But he doesn't. He like leans into it. He goes, let me finish. I feel you pulling away. And he makes a case. And the case isn't that you should ever hit a woman, but this concept that people don't deserve to get hit. And then he goes through stories about things women have done to him. And he's like, don't tell me that person would never hit her, and it's, I'm butchering it. I'm not like doing the exact routine, but it's like to be able to do and to think about when you try that, and that's him doing it in his hour after he's like mastered it.
Think about the times he did it.
The first time he did it.
Yeah.
The first time he said that out loud. Like people are walking out of the room, like booing him. Like that's not. Even like you've seen just doing stand-up for as many years as I've done it. How many times have you been in a club and like Chappelle pops in or Chris Rock pops in or these guys pop in and you're like, oh man, and I go down and watch them. I can't wait to see them kill. They don't always kill. Yeah, they go on stage. They're trying new material. There's something brave about them in a way that's like why I think they're the next level guys. Like they push it in a way that is hard to do. There's plenty of times I'm on stage. I'm like, I really want to work on that new joke. And then I'm on stage. I'm like, I'll just kill with the 15 minutes I know right now and like have a good set.
There's a lot of times where you go up on stage and you go to, like I did it the other night and I regretted it. But I woke up the next morning and I went, I'm glad I did it. I had this story that I was closing my special with. And I was like, I was like, it's killing on the road, but I gotta find there's not there yet. Like I knew it. I knew it integrally. There was
something missing.
Still meat on the bone, I guess. And then I took it to the store. I was like, I'll do 2 shows. Both shows I followed like Dalia. I followed just a bunch of murderers. And I did it. And man, I'll tell you what, that'll really shine a light on where your fucking weak spots are. And I was depressed, but I was like, dude, I'm a comic. This is what you do. You fail. You're never going to get better if you don't fail.
Dude, it's so much of it is just failing.
Yeah. Woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, what did I learn? I was depressed. Because I was like, that's my closer. I'm filming it this weekend. What did I learn? And I was like, or I was filming it the next weekend actually. And so I had one more weekend on the road and I was like, what I learned was that there was a lot of times where I was talking and they were listening. And there was too much of that where they weren't laughing. Where with my fans, they'll give me that stretch. But if you're watching my show for the first time, you might go, this guy talks a lot and doesn't tell a joke. So I went, all right, let's go through and take out all that fucking fat and just say what needs to be said.
Yep.
And I did it and it helped me. Now, there are certainly people who look at it and go, yeah, but you didn't do well. And you go, yeah, I know, but that's part of what this is.
I mean, I that's something Lewis Black said to me early on. And I was saying that earlier. Like when I started, I got lucky. Like I was pulling footage for Lou and he was still doing clubs at the time. And he like decided just because he liked me and he knew I was trying to get started in stand-up just to take me, he just started taking me on the road with him. And I was by no means ready. Like he took me to the Stress Factory and I was like, which is like a really rough club in New Jersey. It's like, I compare it to the Roadhouse, where Swayze worked, like where you almost need chicken wire around the fence. It's like it's a working class Jersey room.
It's Jersey,
and it's
I know I've had friends
it's real
who've gotten
Jersey.
In fist fights.
It ain't pretty Jersey. It's like real Jersey. It's the kind of town you want to kill in. By the way, that to me is the difference between and I truly believe this. and this isn't about fame. This is just about stand-up. There's a lot of this like alt comedy scene, which is fun and it's funny, and these guys are really funny. But if you don't bring it out of those rooms, if you're just in that like hipster room and in that hipster environment and you're killing, but you never go to like a club like in Philly or in Jersey or in Missouri or wherever, like name the real place that's full of dudes who don't know anything about comedy, who are guys that just like worked a construction job all day and like, I'm gonna go have a beer and laugh at some asshole. If you'd never done those rooms, I don't care if you're a fucking sitcom star or a movie star who was a stand-up. If you haven't like really gotten hit in the dick or like had to fight your way through a heckling. I've had guys come up to me after shows. I don't know why they got mad at me for yelling at you. The whole point of a comedy club is I yell something at you, you yell something funny your back. I'm like, that's not really the point.
Yep.
It's more that I write things to entertain. But there's something about working in clubs, comedy clubs to people. It's not like they don't act like they do in a theater. They're eating dinner, they're talking, they're yelling at you. If you don't keep it's hard.
I had a guy yell something out on the taping of my first show in Philly.
Sure.
And you're like, I'm taping
because
special.
he taped in Philly. That's on you.
But there is something to be said for now. The opposite can be said for guys like myself, who when I was younger spent way too much time in those clubs.
Sure.
And then you go, oh, I haven't been to L.A. I haven't tried. And you'll see a lot of road guys where you're like, they come to L.A. and they're like, what's up with the Devil Rays pitching staff, huh? And you're like, huh? Mm-hmm. Who the fuck talks about
LA
the Devil Rays?
Is tough, man. That's one of the reasons I'm out here. I've just sort of made a pact with myself that even if I don't need to be out here, I'm just going to start coming every couple of weeks or so to hang for the week, because there's dudes like you that like I don't know, because I'm like, I hang out at the Comedy Cellar, so I know all the New York comics, and I hang out at the Stand Up New York or New York Comedy Club, any of the good clubs in New York, and I know it's fun actually. Some of the clubs, there's a rotation of younger guys I don't know, and I'm getting to know them, which is fun, and like talk to them, and it's fun. Sometimes it's fun to be like the old guy in the room, be like, here's what I think, and they like listen, But Bert was the one. I saw Bill the other night. I went to the Comedy Store just to hang out. I did a gig at the Ice House, and then I went by there, and I was talking to Bill, and I said, he was the guy who told me, and I've known Bill for a long time, but we're not close by any means or even still in contact, but I've run into him here and there. And I told him, I go, and this was at like Luna Lounge, which was like a hipster room in the back in the day in the
still is
East Village.
No. I was thinking of the one in LA that not
I know the one you're talking about, Largo. Yeah, Luna Lounge was in New York.
I remember
it's
Luna.
Not around anymore.
I remember
it was
Luna.
like a Jeff Singer used to be, and I was talking to Bill at the bar, and I knew then, like, because I even found a flyer recently of it was like new faces, and it was like at Caroline's, and it was like me and Bill. And I'm like, it's funny that they thought we were both new faces, because not only he's older than me, but he was already like a dynamo, and he was already going. He never started like, well, at least when I knew him 15 years ago, he was already hitting people hard. But he said to me, he's like, you got to go to every kind of room. You got to go to places where you're gonna bomb. Whether it's like an all black room, or it's like a biker bar, or it's a hipster room, whatever place you don't think you'll be welcome, go. Because that's how you get good. And I love going to hipster rooms, because hipsters don't particularly like me, and I deliberately work material there that isn't going to please them. Like, I'm not going to go, well, what will work in the hipster room? Like, what part of my act will upset these people, and how much of them hating me can I take?
Yeah.
And LA I find to be intimidating in a lot of ways as a stand-up. One of the things that happens a lot of times when you're on stage is there's other comics watching you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's a big thing in comedy, which I have, and I don't know if everyone has it, but that's why I say guys like Chris Rock or Chappelle or any of those guys, or Louis, when they would come into clubs, it's like, I already know they're funny. So if I'm watching them bomb, and by bomb, I mean try material and not necessarily murder the whole way through, I'm never like, I wonder if that guy's really funny.
Yeah.
But people don't know me. So if I'm doing a gig and you're in the room and you haven't really seen me do stand-up, I'm like, well, I just want to kill. So like, what's my best 15 that like is not going to make these guys think I suck? Because I don't know all these guys. And like, and even in New York, it's not like every time you're on stage, there's other comics in the room, but the nights that they are. And I've had shows like, the Village Underground, which is the other Comedy Cellar room, which is the bigger room, has a table. So the comics table in the Village Underground is in the room. So you're sitting in the room.
Which one's Village Underground? Is that on?
It's on West 3rd. It's below the Fat Black Pussycat. It's the bigger one, like lower ceilings.
Yep.
And it's where we met. It was like Rich Voss's birthday roast or whatever. Yeah. And that room has the comics table in the room. So you're on stage. And like the next 4 dudes are watching you, depending on how early or not they get there.
I wish they would outlaw that.
Yeah. So I've had times where I came off stage one night, and this was like the week before I went to Denver last year to showcase my hour for Showtime. And I was like, and I came off stage and Louis was in the room and he watched me. And Ryan Hamilton was there and he's like, dude, Louis laughed. Or he said, I'm like, and then Louis came up to me, like shook my hand and was like, dude, that was great. And he like went through a couple of my bits. And I was like, holy shit. Like, and then of course, everyone told me if Louis sees you and likes you, like there's a chance he asks you to open for him. So for the next like week, I was like, had my phone
checking your phone nonstop.
I was just like, am I getting a signal? You know what I mean? And then like maybe 2 weeks later, exact same scenario. I come off stage and he's in the same seat and I did mainly the same 15 or whatever it was, but maybe a couple new jokes. And I came off stage and he was sitting there, and it was like I always compare it to like Groundhog's Day, when he's trying to have that same special night where they're making snow angels and he can't replicate it. He's trying, so he's like, oh my god, like I was trying to do that. Like I was like, what's up, Louis? Like shake my hand again. Like wasn't that funny? Like, and he was like, couldn't have been less interested in talking for the second time, you know? And I was like, oh man. But it's intimidating. And it's not, by the way, it's not just famous guys you care about seeing you. It's any comic. You just want other comics to like you and respect you, and not necessarily like you because you want to please the crowd, but you just want them to like go, yeah, that guy's got chops, you know, and that guy can do it. Or like, I like that guy's funny. And it's tough, man. I've seen other comics. I've been in the room when other comics who I know are good, but like, and have a rough set. And you could tell it just bothers them because, you know, I don't know. I had a set, and like you said, man, bombing is like, it's just part of it. Yeah, it's just part of it. And like that's what happened when I went out with Louis. Like he took me to the Stress Factory. I was like 25 years old. I was wearing like a collared shirt out of a V-neck sweater, you know, and I was like, you guys ever take the A train at night? And, you know, and they were like, suck my dick, you know, it's just and I did like 7 minutes of pasty mouth bombing. And I remember going, this is it. Louis is never going to take me out again. I failed. And I go in the green room and he's back there laughing his ass off. He's like, and I'm like, what happened? And he's like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, I brought you here to bomb. He's like, you thought you were going to do well here? Like I brought you to the Stress Factory. You've been doing stand-up like a half year, you know?
Vinny set you up to bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And like, then we all went out to dinner and Vinny Brandon owns it. And he was like, yeah, you sucked, bro. You know, they were laughing at me. And then I had to do the second show. And that's that moment you realize. And then Louis on the way home, I was like mortified, you know? And Louis on the way home said, well, do you still want to do it? I go, yeah, I want to do it more than I ever have now because that happened. He goes, well, then you're fucked. He's like, you're in for life. And he said, because that's all this really is. Stand-up is bombing. Yeah. It's just you're bombing and then you're just the addict. And I don't play golf, but I've played golf. In other words, I've hit golf balls before and I've, you know, just it's like, you know, as a white guy, you're supposed to try it. And it's the only thing I can really compare it to. It's like you go to the driving range one day and you just hit a ball clean and it goes straight and you go, I'm addicted. And then you can't ever do it again. And then you just chop.
And the whole time you're just like a little bit of a slice. You're like, no, but that was kind of straight.
Yeah, and then you try to readjust things. You know, you're like, well, if I keep this arm straight and bend my knee, and then a new problem occurs, and then a new problem. And that's really what it is. It's like you're trying to get you're like, but I hit it perfect that one time. Why am I slicing it now and then? And then you're readjusting, and then you're listening to yourself, and you're trying to get better. And I used to talk to Dimitri about this because we had a very different beginner's philosophy, whereas Dimitri just wrote really good jokes and never cared about his stage persona and his like comfort on stage or his ability to talk to people. He's just like, I'm going to go up there and read my jokes or say my jokes. Yeah. And I had a very different thing where I was like, I wasn't really worried about materially in the beginning because my philosophy was like, no one really cares what like a 25-year-old has to say anyway. So it's like, I'm not going to have some impact. I'm not going to be like, yeah, let me tell you how it is. People are like, suck it. You've been an adult for like 3 months, you know? So my philosophy was like, just work on getting comfortable on stage. Work on being me on stage. Because I knew if I was with my friends, I was funny. So if I could be as close to that guy on stage, but it takes a long time. So it takes a lot of stage time. And it doesn't matter how confident you are before you go on stage. You get on stage sometimes, especially in the beginning, and you're just like, you don't realize how many things happen when you jump on stage. You start hearing things louder than you did. You know, like I remember when I first started doing stand-up, I'd hear someone drop a fork. I'd be like, hold on to your forks. And then like when you're in a restaurant, you don't hear someone drop a fork.
No one else heard the fork drop.
So it's like, then you have to learn, don't ignore that. Oh, that light is like, you have to learn this whole new existence in this weird environment where everyone's looking at you. And it takes, for me, it took years to really feel like, and now I feel like when I get on stage, most of the time, even when I bomb, I can go off and go, well, I was me. The times that bothers me when I bomb, or the times I make stupid mistakes. Like the times I'm on stage and I'm working on shit and I'm pushing myself and it's not a good set, I come off stage and go, that was like exhilarating. Like I earned that. Like it didn't matter that they didn't like it because I learned this and I learned that. Oh. But the times I'm on stage doing old material that I know works, but I'm half-assing it, like, because I'm like, oh, this old chestnut, and I'm like, they don't know it, but I'm acting like, and I always think like Mick Jagger, he's been singing Satisfaction for like 60 years, but every time he does it, he's like, yeah, I love this tune. He probably wants to put a gun in his mouth, but he performs it. That's called being a good performer, So those nights when I like fail because I like pulled up short or I didn't commit to the bit or those are the days where I wake up the next day depressed and I'm pissed at myself because it's like a rookie move.
Oh, I made rookie mistakes this weekend.
Yeah.
Like like where you go, what? Why am I fucking flubbing up words? Like, what the fuck? Why am I paying attention to people saying, why am I I definitely
do you know what I mean though? It's like, and you're not, and I can only imagine.
I stepped on the mic cord. What? Right. I was walked forward, stepped on the mic cord,
I jerked yourself back.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I've had those a lot. You know what? The longer I've been in stand-up, the more acute I am to them. I think that when I was younger, I didn't even
pay attention.
I didn't even know that was possible. I was just needed, if I could get a little bit of a laugh, I was like, that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah, but also the thing you talked about, which I know you said you cut the fat off that bit, but like, that's another thing, is getting comfortable with the silence and realizing that like, you can inflate the balloon of the room sometimes. Like, look at Chappelle's last special or two where he was like, there were moments in one of them where he's just talking and he's talking and he's talking and he's talking and he's talking and then he just hits this one, Lewis Black. It's like Lewis, if you watch him live, he's really, really good at setting putting a flag in the ground and then like building a little town around the flag and then just going bah! And it's like, but sometimes you're like, man, I haven't laughed in like 6 minutes, but then you belly laugh. But I think that becomes, like I said, musicians, like when I look at those guys and I go, it's cool because they were changing their sound. Like not every Bob Dylan album sounds the same, and it's sure as hell not every Dave Chappelle special sounds the same.
Well,
like
Bill Burr is the one. Bill Burr is the one that I noticed that did that first, where I was like,
oh, this is different than the last one.
Where I go, wow, he's challenging.
He's playing acoustic
himself.
Yeah, he's playing
and I love that. I love
it too. It's really cool. And
like my goal this on this special was to write jokes no one else could write. Meaning, I'm not saying like, but just come up with my own form of jazz. Like I don't care to be in a rat race with. Like I feel like a lot of guys are trying to write like Bill or write like, take a social issue and then pick it apart from the other opposite side, and or like some people are like, a lot of people are trying to emulate what Sebastian does, bring back these like cool concepts, and like that's what they're doing. And I was like I want to create my own thing. I want to do my own thing. And I think I found that a little bit. I didn't find it at all in my first special, a little bit, and then I found it a little bit more on the second special. And then I was like, oh, I think I can, like, I'm tired of having jokes stolen from me. So I was like, I'm just going to write jokes that are so me.
Yeah.
And so then now.
That's hard to, like, the thing that's really hard about that, because I can tell you that, like, it takes a long time to figure out who you are. In other words, as a comic.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that feeling of like for me, my voice, like I'm just starting to really understand the stuff I'm good at talking about versus the stuff that feels like I don't really want to talk about that. And some of it is me trying to separate all the years I spent at the Daily Show.
That's got to be tough.
Writing a certain way. And now I'm doing a lot, and it's not political, but I do a lot of social stuff. But that's where my interests lie.
Yeah,
I'm good at writing that stuff. So then it's sort of become like, well, what's my take on it, and how am I going to attack it? But one of the things after recording this last hour, which like I said, I hope at some point, and if I have to release it myself, I will, it'll get out there. But is that what you're talking about, which is what am I going to do differently now? Like I'm trying to make myself be sillier, and I'm trying to go like, get into some silly topics. Get it. You know, what I'm trying to work on is like make them up scenarios, you know, like I've been doing a bit about how like I'm going to start doing citizens arrests, you know, because I like it's a good way to like help society. And I just go through the scenario of my citizens arrest, like how would it go down? And you know, like a guy mugs me, I'm like, yeah, okay, sorry, bro, I got bad news. This is it, you know, drop your gun. And then I like go through the fact that like I don't really have a car in New York, so I got to take him downtown in an Uber, you know, and then the Uber pulls up, and it's sort of like now I'm just telling this hypothetical silly story, which, you know, I haven't really done on stage. So I'm trying to go like push it a different direction. And you can still be talking about whatever you want to talk about or whatever interests you. But then it's like you're saying, like create your own jazz. That's the exact word I use for Chappelle's last two specials. Because there's like, I watched them and I was like, no, this dude's playing jazz, you know? And it's like, he's doing... Like, you know, that special he starts, it goes, I'm so good at writing jokes, I'm going to start doing it backwards.
It's one of my favorite jokes I've ever heard.
Yeah, have I ever heard. And like, I know a lot of comics, or I've talked to a lot of comics who go, oh, I hated those specials. I'm like, I don't know, man. To me, that was like, this dude just was like, I'm going to just reinvent the wheel because I'm mastered this craft. And I don't, you know, it's like sometimes Kanye will put out an album like, I hate this. And then like a year later, I'm like, this is the best song I ever heard. Because he was like a year ahead.
Beastie Boys always did that for me. I don't get it. And then I'm like, oh my God, Paul Boutique's a genius.
How could I not?
Paul Boutique's a genius.
Yeah, because they were like a year ahead or 2 years ahead of what was your brain was at. That's how I felt about those two specials, which was like, oh man, like it inspired me. And then it also almost made me want to quit. Because there's a party that's like, I'm so inspired. And then the part of me is like, could you ever even play in that arena?
No,
you know
but you can, because you know why? This is what inspired me about it, was they were his voice. Like he wrote them. Like he wrote them. Like I knew he wrote them. I could see his writing. I could see the way he writes.
You're right.
And so I got excited. It's like one of the things that I loved about Bob Dylan was that you knew that he wrote the material. Prince, you knew he wrote the material. As weird off, even the Beastie Boys, as weird off as it would go, you could see.
Couldn't agree more.
You could see the ground, the framework from where it came from.
I mean, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, and one of my favorite things about him is that like almost every album sounds different than the album before it. And not always in a successful way. Yeah. In other words, some of them are bad. In other words, he has certain albums that are just bad. Yeah. He has a couple albums where he was in a contract with like Warner Brothers he wanted to get out of, but he had to give them 2 more albums, so he just put out like 2 shitty weird albums to close the contract. It's in the book about him. And I actually don't hate those albums, but they're like, he wasn't trying as hard, but he still tried some weird different shit. And
I like that. I like when you know you can get the hint of the artist inside the thing, although it changes. And that's
the Beatles are like that too.
Wilco is one of my favorite bands.
Great.
And I go to early Wilco and I go, oh yeah, not totally my taste. And then you or what was it? Uncle Tupelo's, whatever the fucking first band he was in. Mm-hmm. I'm like, not totally mine. Early Wilco I like, late Wilco, okay, yeah. And you watch him build that or grow. And that's what I like about Chappelle, and that's what I like about Burr, is that I go,
me too.
And that's the thing I like about comedy. And I'll say this across the board. I'm not a fan. I'll never become a fan of a comic who doesn't write his own material. A comic that has hired writers, and I'm not talking about like the Daily Show. That's a TV show. No. I'm talking about guys who go out.
I know guys like that, and
who perform their hours.
I know guys like that now, and I see them. You know, they'll come into a club and they got like 3 dudes with them with like notepads, and I'm like, "What are you just having a team punch you up? Like, then what are you doing?
Yeah, well, are you doing karaoke?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're basically doing karaoke. You're saying, guys, I'm actually a great vocal piece. I'm good at branding.
You know what's funny? I thought about that at one point, that it would be fun in a set or in an hour to do a cover song. Yeah. And be like, this next one's from George Carlin jamming in New York, 1990. And then just do a verbatim. You know, obviously you're not stealing it. You're saying, hey, musicians, see a musician live. Yeah. And they'll be like, here, you know, here's my version of that. And then I was kind of joking with myself about how and I'd be like, I'm a cover comic. I cover. But the idea, I totally agree with you, because to me, the whole sensation of the thing, and that's, look, I have had comics come up to me and give me a tag. Or,
Yep.
I love that.
Totally fine.
I got
a tag from Mark Norman, a tag from Shane Torres, and a tag from my wife, oddly enough, on this last special. They each gave me a tag. I used each of their tags.
Absolutely.
They killed.
Larry Wilmore gave me a great tag. Almost more like, it's like, well, not even just a tag. It's like the completion of a thought that I like kind of didn't have in there.
Yeah.
He gave it to me, which was great. I was talking about I was talking about neo-Nazis, and I did this bit about like you can't just put like neo. You can't just put like a modifying word in front of an evil word and pretend like it's not.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not your grandpa's Nazis. We're neo-Nazis. We're different. And I was trying to think of another example of that, and Larry gave me, like, you can't just put a modifying word in front of an evil word. Like, you can't be like, well, I'm a casual child molester, and it's casual child molester. It's like a great phrasing. It's great, it's a great tag. It sort of just completes the thought, which is like, you just rebrand. Like, it's like when they changed Philip Morris to Altria. They're like, now we're different. It's like, what do you mean?
Changed it to Altria?
Yeah, it's like you still selling cigarettes, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, neo-Nazis are like, no. And like, so, but I love that, and look, sometimes people give it to you and you don't use it. Justin Smith, I don't know if you know Justin Smith. He's a younger comic that I've gotten to know in New York. He's a really funny guy, really funny joke writer. And he was watching me do a bunch of new stuff a couple weeks ago up in Saratoga. And he gave me a great tag, which is, I've been doing this bit about guns, and talking about, like, well, it's not just about guns. It's just more about, like, one of the biggest problems we're not acknowledging in the country is micro penises. And like there's so many people out there with micro penises, and they're overcompensating in all these different ways. And
micro penises are a real thing.
Yeah. And I go, that's what the FBI should have a watch list for micro penis, not Muslims, not Mexicans. Like, you're 21, you go to the doctor, they measure your dick, and if it's below a half an inch, they put you on a list. And then you go to buy a gun, you go, I'll take the AR-15, and the guy at the store goes, yeah, I can't sell you that.
Sorry, I can sell you a truck.
No, and I go, and then Justin gave, Justin gave me a great tag, which is the bullets can't be bigger than your dick. And that's the that's the code.
Yeah.
And then I go, like, there's a couple BB guns in the back you can buy, but you can't buy a gun where the bullets are bigger than your dick, because we can't trust you. And bullets are bigger than your dick. Like, it was I had a lot of laughs throughout the bit. I mean, I'm doing an abbreviated version. I had a lot of laughs throughout the bit, but that closes the deal. Like, it's great deal closer, and it's like the standout joke. So I am never afraid to take a tag or from another comic. Or
I won't take a joke.
No, me
like, if a comic goes, I got a premise for you, I'd go, nope,
never. No,
I'm sorry.
But if you're doing a bit and there's like a way to close it or a way to like just put a little bow on it, absolutely.
I'll totally always take a tag. I'll take a direction. I don't like younger comics giving me, like, and even though Mark and Shane are both younger than me, I don't like when you're on the road with a guy and he's like, what you should do with that bit? I'm like, well, even if you have a good idea, please
unsolicited is weird. To me, it's as long as a comic's like, hey, can I give you a tag? Or are you open to that?
Yeah.
I don't like when people just come up to me and do. Look, if it's like, I was out with Metzger the other night and I watched him do a set of some new stuff and he came off stage and I was like, dude, you can tag that with that. He's like, oh shit, thank you. But I've known him a long time and we're like peers, so it's not like he's just my buddy I was watching do a set. But if it's, especially if it's someone I don't know, even if age isn't even a factor, like I would always say, can I give you a tag? Like I saw Pete what the hell?
Holmes?
No, not Pete Holmes. Pete from SNL. What the hell's his name? Ricky Velez's buddy. God, I can't believe I can't think of his name. He's hysterical. He did Comedy Central Hour. He's on SNL. He's young. He's you know him.
No. Pete Davidson.
Davidson.
I'm like,
I was going to say. I keep wanting to say Pete Dominic.
The whole time you're doing that, I'm going, I don't know any Pete's.
Yes. Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
Really funny dude. Really nice guy. Just everything about the guy I like. But he came off stage one night doing new stuff, and I was like, hey, can I give you a tag on that? And he was like, sure. And I threw it at him. But I would never. I was like, if you want, because I was like, I know you're building a new hour, so if you want to tag, he was like, sure. And whether he took it or not,
I'd much rather people pull me aside and go, this is what I'd like, by the way, and I say this to all comics. I would like you to pull me aside and go, you're better than that bit. Like, if you see me working on something weak, because that is my fault. across the board is laziness is my.
I couldn't agree more.
I work super hard on crafting an hour. I really do work really hard. But sometimes I am so close to the forest I can't see the trees, and I'll be working on a hacky premise really hard, and I just won't know it's hacky. I don't know that a lot of people have done it. Like
me too.
Rogan called me one day and he's like, "Yo, that bit you're doing, just to give you a heads up. I've seen a couple people do it." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you, because I would much rather never say it. And that's the reason I watch people's hours, because I was like, okay, so that's the word we're all using for when someone laughs. All right. I'm going to get that out of my act because that's in my act right now.
I struggle sometimes watching a lot of other people's hours, especially in my current state of trying to get mine out there, because you're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
No, yeah.
It's hard to like, it's hard to like sometimes balance the two. And it's not jealousy as much as it's just sort of like, it just makes you go like, man, I really want mine out so much more. But I agree with that. And I also think it's good to know that. Like, there's no real... like there's some people who are just like the comedy police, like they just pay attention more than I do, and I don't.
Some people they're around it more, and they can. It's like chefs who can pull out flavors. You know?
But a lot
Dimitri's
of times,
really good at that.
Yeah,
he was always really good at like going. That's a bit like his.
Because he is his life to Dimitri is like ones and zeros. He's like sees the Matrix, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes it's impossible. Stand-up comedy has been around for a long time, and like it's impossible if you're on stage and you're talking about like I used to have a tag on a joke along the way, like I would make fun of like Jesus and like Christians a lot, not a lot, but I had like a bit I was doing on it, and I'd always do a tag, but it's not just Christians, everyone's, everyone, all religions are insane, like Jews, like they thought like a good idea in Judaism was like I haven't done it in a long time because I discovered it was a very similar to a Bill Maher bit from like 1980. You know what I mean? And I was like, I guess I can't do that anymore. But it only happened because I was watching a Bill Maher documentary, or like maybe it was religious, and they played the clip in the thing, and I was like, I can't do that anymore. It's not the exact same joke, but it was about how like Judaism, like here's how messed up Judaism, when they were creating the religion of Judaism, was obviously like for men, because men control all religion, sitting in like a dirt hut in the desert. And they were like, okay, what's going to make this religion special? And one of the dudes was like, what if we cut the tips of baby penises off? And instead of them being like, Mordecai, get the fuck out of here, you freak. Who brings up baby dicks in a meeting? They were like, that's a good idea. And like, that's a good idea to Jews. And they were doing it at a time that there was no antiseptics, no anesthesia.
Branding.
Just fucking using a sharp rock. So he has a bit about how, and I don't remember the specific wording of it, but just something about how, or like Jews, it's not even a voluntary thing, whatever it was, but it was like enough of a circumcision bit that I was like, yeah. And look, obviously circumcision and religious jokes have been around a long time, and so that's going to happen. But even if it's sometimes even if it's in the ballpark, I just like don't want to do it, Dude, and that's the thing I'm really working on is really trying, like you said, is really trying to like push myself a little bit more to go like, what's a way I can deliver this stuff that isn't, and again, like you said, there are certain guys, sometimes I'm on stage and I hear me doing their voice, but I'm not doing their voice because I'm ripping them off. I'm doing their voice because my voice, maybe, like you said, Geraldo, like there's some dudes, like Attell and I are from the same town. Like we grew up in the same hometown. There's Amy Schumer too. But Attell and I've known Attell a long time, and he's one of those dudes, if I watch too much and I'm on stage, I'll be like, what are you doing, Rebecca? And I'm like, that's not my voice. But there's a part of me that does feel like some of that's just influence. In other words, ask a dancer, like ask a musician if they haven't stolen a lick from Eric Clapton. Like in other words, some of that I think has to be forgiven as, I don't know. I love George Carlin. I watch a lot of George Carlin. I love Bill Burr. There's a certain kind of comic I like. So those guys have inspired me and given me a drive. So I'm not trying to emulate them as much as it's hard for me sometimes not to like find a cadence that maybe is my cadence, but maybe the reason I'm drawn to those guys is because
it's naturally,
it feels natural to me, So I do try to separate the two between ripping someone off and also like going, well, I don't know, like there's a certain thing George Carlin does that I've always done. He'll be like, he and it's happened sometimes when I'm on stage. I don't do it deliberately, but I'll say something like he has that whole bit where he, in my opinion, has retired plane jokes. I think Louis found a way to do them again, but where he talks about if the plane crashes You know, and he goes through. It's one of the. I think it's the best hour ever done. It's jamming in New York. It's from the 90s, but it's still relevant and it still holds up. But he goes through every stage of a flight, every stage, from like all the language mishaps. You know, he says, "Okay, everyone get on the plane." He goes, "On the plane? I'm getting in the plane." You know, let Evil Knievel get on the plane. You know, and he just, but some of it's like silly and hacky, and some of it's perfection, like perfectly written. You can use your seat as a flotation device. He goes, "Just what I've always wanted, to be floating around the North Atlantic on a pillow full of beer farts." You know, like that kind of. And he does it. He acts it out. You know, perfect stuff.
He's great.
But he has a line in there, and there's a certain way he does his voice sometimes that gets in my head, which is. He talks about when they tell you about the emergency exits, and he said, "Please allow women into whatever it is." Or no, if you're sitting by the exit row, helping other people off the planes, and he goes, "Helping other people." He's like, "This is when I figure out my route," you know. And he goes, he's like, "Step on the children." You know, knock over the wall, widow. And he's talking about how he's going to get out the plane. You know, and then he goes, "Get out of the plane. Run to a farm, you know, run to a nearby farm, have a Dr. Pepper, then call the authorities." But he adds, "Have a Dr. Pepper." And sometimes when I'm doing a run like that on a thing, I'll add a tag, and it could just be off the cuff, but it'll sound like "Have a Dr. Pepper." You know, I'll be like, "Eat a little more sushi," and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like. This just came out that way. You know what I mean? It's like
part of that I use, like we're like War Widow, like Attell does that, where he comes up, like it's almost like he hears something brilliant and someone said something authentic in that moment, and he goes, "That would fit in." Like time for some frontier medicine.
Yes,
I'm gonna eat a shoelace, Mr. Coffee, and a can of whatever. But like, I mean, my wife and I say frontier medicine all the time,
and that's what I say again. It's like music. Like you can impersonate. And that's where I think anyone would want to get with it, where it's like you can impersonate Jerry Seinfeld without doing words. Right? Like if I was like do a Jerry Seinfeld, just like and it's like it's musical. And then like Chris Rock.
Oh, this is good.
Chris Rock you could do except for
that last special,
whatever. But I didn't watch the last one yet. But again, like any like top tier dudes who really have a voice, you can almost do them without saying the words. It's like instrumental. You can almost play them instrumentally because they have, and it's like what you're talking about, right? It's like you're trying to find, but you're trying to find the Teller's like,
that's amazing.
Teller's like, you know, and it's like, and it's, I don't know. And that's why those guys are who they are, I think, because it's more than just the lyrics, it's the music, you know? And that's what you're really trying to find, as any comic is trying to find. Like you said, you're trying to cut your sleeves off your comedy. To me, it's the same thing. It's cutting your sleeves off your comedy. Is what is my music? How am I delivering this? Because it's not just the topics. It's like I could still talk about gay marriage if Bill Bert talked about gay marriage. I just don't want to talk about it the way he talked about it. I want to talk about the way I talk about it.
Yeah,
because that's your voice.
And what's so interesting is I remember hearing Method Man one time say, and by the way, if he didn't say this, I apologize, but he said, "It's not what you rap about, it's how you rap." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "It's about how you spit. Like it's about." That's why he'd do that, like Tical. Yeah, like just you could hear Method Man
Jay-Z. Rapping. You can hear because it you know, it's just like
fucked my brain up.
Yeah, so it's like I think that is true with music. I think that's true, like Bob Dylan, right? Like you're like, and you're like, oh, Bob Dylan, you know?
God damn it, that just fucking blew my brain.
Yeah, so like that's the thing I think every comic is looking for, and that's the thing I feel like you're even talking about right now, where you're going like, I'm writing jokes that only I could say the way I can say them, and to me but that's the move. You're at that level now. Like you're well known enough. You got a fan base, like people, and now you're going. Now I'm going to separate myself from the pack in a different way. You know, I did it with the shirt thing. Fine. I don't even think that was a gimmick as much as you just like doing it, and it felt natural to you.
I think the second time around, it's a gimmick.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, or
second time around, I'm like, I still haven't worn a shirt. I'm
whatever, man.
Now.
Everyone has most successful people have some kind of a gimmick, but I do think. That's the challenge of it, and I think you either can do that or you can't. And I don't, and I think part of it. Look, I think part of life in any success is luck and timing. It's a big factor. Luck and timing are factors. But look, talent. talent's a big factor, obviously, as well. But you got to have
talent's a big factor. But think how
not
many
always
fucking talented comics there are.
Think about how many talented actors there are. Forget comics. Think about how many movies you've seen with an actor in it. I just saw my girlfriend, because she's younger than me. She's 34. She like looks at Instagram a lot more than I do. I'm like really not that into it. I'm trying harder because apparently that matters, but it's hard.
There's a new one Rogan told me about today, or
a new social media thing
called Vero.
Maybe I'll get in it early for once.
Get in on Vero.
But but she was showing me this one of these funny comedy. My problem with Instagram sometimes as a comedian is like what passes as a joke. Like the memes, it's like that feeling when your girlfriend says yes, but there's no ketchup in the fridge. And you're like,
staleness.
What is
staleness.
That? Like, it's not a joke to me, where it's like
that ass though.
Yeah, right.
That makes me fucking crazy.
Or like,
sliding into Mondays like
or like, when you learn that there's no yogurt in the store, but you buy yogurt at the other store, and you're like, is that when that happens?
I don't mind a good meme, a meme that makes me laugh.
I don't either.
Man,
but some of them are good, and some of them are hacky,
fucking
and stolen.
The majority of them are hacky and stolen.
Oh yeah, completely.
I'll go even this far. I don't like. I have a problem with people reposting simply funny things they found online on their Instagram.
Yep.
I go, no. I would have found that anyway. You don't get credit for that. Yep. I don't want to see that you got 40,000 likes on a video you had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
That you just found enjoyable, so you posted it to yours.
Yep.
I try to create all my original content because I'm a comedian. That's what I fucking do for a living.
And I just struggle, I think, for me sometimes creating original content in that space because I don't really think about that. I like Twitter a lot. I have a lot of fun on Twitter. I like writing jokes. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. And that's by do well, I mean get a lot of retweets or likes, right?
You got to be in that mindset.
Yeah, like you got to be in the mood.
I'm a visual person, so I think I'm better in like a podcast visual medium, meaning one of the two. And so like for instance, I came out with this series a long time ago called What Will the Maid Think? And it got really, really big. And now people
like in a hotel.
Yeah, I'd leave a hotel room in a really interesting way. They went viral. They were like really crazy,
right?
And so I'll show you some of them when we're done.
Yeah,
but they went viral, and then people would post them as their own, and it really bothered me.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, no, I created that. I'm the one that sat in the room, and then you just got to give it up to the world and go, I guess there's nothing I can do about that.
Yep. It's that Richard Lewis bit on Curb Your Enthusiasm years ago when he says from hell is his. He's like, that's mine, Larry. Like the idea of like, that was the vacation from hell. He's like, that's me. Yeah. I put from hell there. You know what I mean? People just use it now, And I had that happen to me only about one time where I did a post, which was Ivanka Trump in that silver foil dress.
I saw this.
And I said to my girlfriend, I was like, what, and she helped me with it, but we went online and I found this, or she found whatever, a perfectly wrapped burrito that looked exactly the same, and I put it out there, and it was the best Instagram post as far as likes and whatever I ever did. But it went to,
and you wrote who wore it better.
Yeah, but it went to everywhere. It went to like, in other words, with no, like it went to these Instagram sites like not Fat Jew, but that level of like
Lad Bible,
beige cardigan, whatever, all these kind of like that level of where it was getting like 100,000 likes, and I had no credit on it, it would be like, and it was one of those things where I'm like, how much should that bother me, and how much should it not bother me? But then there's a party that's like, well, the goal, I guess, of being on Instagram is to get as many followers as possible so that when you're promoting something or putting something out there, people like you. So then it's like, well, if I did that and nobody knows I did it, then I guess it failed, And then you're like, people are like, oh, you could watermark it. I'm like, but that seems so stupid.
Watermark.
Yeah, like put like at Rory Albanese across it. It's like, now you're like really going, because the biggest joke about that is then you watermark it and only 80 people like it, and then you just look like a loser. Yeah. It's just like, dude, which is more likely the scenario.
That's what happened with my machine story is I posted it, and then people started stealing it and going and posting it on their own thing. But luckily, it was my stand-up. So I was in my head, like the Fat Jew, all them, I was like, post away.
Yeah.
Post away.
Because that's your...
Don't even credit me. You don't even need to credit me.
People will figure out.
Because all someone's going to say is, who's the guy that got involved with the Russian mafia? Yep. And you're like, that's all I need. I mean, it got 40 million views on my page.
Jesus Christ.
But it got another 100 across a board of people just posting it everywhere. Like one guy got like 59 million views on his page. And it's a fucking total fake Facebook page. It's a guy's name. Man, the guy gets views. I was like, fucking post away.
Yeah.
I do that with every video I have. I go, if people want to post it, post it. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and look, I'd be thrilled for someone to grab one of my. I'm only recently started putting little snippets of me doing stand up.
Oh my God.
But
fucking literally, that's what made Kevin Hart.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is now that I have this hour and I'm waiting for it to be released, I'm just starting to go, well, I should just finalize the edit and just start putting it on YouTube or posting it, because
there's no reason not to.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. And it is one of those things where part of it is, part of it was like the whole experience of like thinking it was going somewhere and then it not. And then
I wouldn't rule out it not going somewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but I could still, I can still post.
But I tell you what, I got in a showtime. I got to wrap up. I have a daughter coming out of the hospital soon.
Jesus Christ.
So
yeah, no, and
we'll tighten this up and we'll wrap it up in a nice bow. And then if everyone wants to hear a 3-hour interview with Rory, he'll be on Rogan tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be listening to that live. I'll get on the treadmill and listen to
Sweet.
it. I love when you're on Rogan.
Like I said,
he loves you, man. You can tell.
That's one of those things, man, where like, I didn't know him. I did his podcast and we just hit it off. And I never had something. I mean, like I said, I did the Daily Show for years and whatever. I mean, sure, behind the scenes stuff, but I have more people come up to me because of that. I still have people come out to see shows and they go, dude, I heard you on Rogan.
Dude,
and it's like his fans. They're like
great comedy fans.
Man. They're like really cool people, and like they're
very cool,
and they're really interested in a lot of things, and they remember. Like I've had dudes come up to be like, "Oh, remember when you said that thing on?" That's why I said to you, I said that music thing on Rogan. I only know that because recently, I mean, I don't like listen to it back. It's like yourself. It's weird to listen to yourself. But recently I was at a club and like a younger comic was like, dude, I heard you on Rogan. I was like, oh, thanks. He's like, that thing you said about comedy being like music was really like impacted me. I was like, oh, did I say that on there? And people, it's like, it's almost like more memorable than anything else you can do because people are hearing you talk.
It goes over and over and over and it reaches such a broad.
Yeah.
People say that to me about like, hey, that story you told on Rogan. Someone said this about the Fighter and the Kid. They're like, hey man, how come you're not going to tell that haircut bit you did on Fighter and the Kid? I was like, what haircut bit? Yeah. And they're like, dude, it was hilarious. About the guy cutting your hair with a razor blade. And I was like,
oh, because I didn't think of that as a comedy bit.
I go, how did you know? I was like, oh, I don't, because you're just
riffing. You're just talking.
Yeah.
And I've had that. I've had that too, just being out with friends. Like, it happened to me the other day. There's these two guys. I was in this web series last year and I was out here for like a month shooting this thing. And the two guys who did it were like young and cool and like young director, young writer. Like, they're just cool, you know, much cooler than I am. And I told them I was out here. So we went and had lunch the other day and I was just like talking to them and I was started going on this unintentional, but they were talking about like how hard it is to get stuff out there and people to watch it, whatever is good or bad. And I go, and then the other thing is, even if it's good, people hate everything now. And I just started going on this tear about like Justin Timberlake at the Super Bowl. Like, I couldn't believe people hated that. Like, it was like 20 minutes of a dude like singing, dancing, not lip syncing. There were like mirrors. It was in a stadium. He played a baby grand. I mean, not even a full grand piano. Like, he's a dad. How many fucking dads do you know that are fucking doing that? You know what I mean? Most dads are like at home fucking on the couch farting, right? This dude's, and then he does that thing with the microphone, and then people are like, that sucked. And you're like, that sucked. And I just started going on this tear about it. And then it brought me back to like that show Lost, where people hated Lost. They were like, and I was like, Lost was on 7 years, and they did 24 episodes a season on free television.
Yeah.
It wasn't HBO, it was ABC. On the house, 24 episodes a year of a show shot on location in Hawaii with a plane crash, special effects, and people were like, the smoke monster didn't wrap up well. And it's like, fuck it. And dude. It's that. And then I texted him the other day and I go, dude, because he was like, you should do that on stage. I was like, what? And then I thought about it and I was doing a spot last night and I texted him and I went, what was the thing you said I should do on stage? Because I totally forgot about it. And they both hit me back like verbatim with what I said. And then I did a show last night and I tried it, and it was like, that was because sometimes you're just talking, and you don't realize what you're saying to someone else seems like a bit.
Do a podcast once a week and you find all the shit you drop.
Do you listen back and go, hey, that's a good bit for me, or no?
No, not at all. Not at all. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Not the flu. Nasty virus. Giving her steroids. Much better tomorrow. All right, we should wrap this up.
All right, yeah, for sure.
So you're going on Rogan tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm on Rogan tomorrow, maybe we'll.
I think I
was going to go down to the
this
Comedy Store tonight and see Jeff Ross's roast battle.
You've never been to a roast battle?
No, I've been, but I want to come out here. Yeah, like I want to see it.
Fucking insane.
Yeah.
And if you're into weed, Gino always loads you up with a pack. Gino at Speedweed. Shout out to Gino at Speedweed.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know Gino. I don't really know anyone at the Comedy Store. I was there the other night hanging out.
Well, everyone's sick at my house. I might go out to the Comedy Store tonight.
Yeah, dude, come out with me. That'd be good because then you can introduce you to some people.
Called in for fucking avails. I was like, I'm going to stay away from comedy for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And try to live my life with my family and be a dad for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was burning it so hard leading up to this special that I was like every week I was gone.
Yeah, it's nice to take a 2-week break like that. I think that's smart.
I do that.
I do that sometimes if I'm on the road a lot, and then I'm at the whole week. I'm at like the Cellar every night, or doing like 2 spots a night at different clubs. I'm at stand-up New York, then at the Cellar in New York County, and I'll just go. You know what? Like I don't have a couple gigs. I don't have gigs for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'm working on new stuff. It's not like I have an hour coming up. Yeah. It's like take a week off.
Take a week off and live a life.
Like you go out
with friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Be funny at a table like you were as a kid.
And just goof around, yeah.
Hey, I've gotta have you on this podcast again.
I'd love to, man. I'm gonna come out here again in a couple months. So
how long are you here for?
I'm here till Monday, like another week, like Monday, basically.
Maybe we'll do another one later in the week. Right. I mean, because there's so much I didn't get to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about. So when you come back, this is what I want to talk to you about. Remind me of this.
I'll remember.
I want to talk to you about what it was like, because I had the same experience leaving television and going back on the road, going from being successful and with money to still having money, but being humbled by like going into a place where I want to talk about that experience.
And that happened when nobody knows you when you show up,
dude.
Like the bouncer's like, "Can I help you, sir?" You're like, "That big poster, I'm behind you."
That happened.
That's
to
me.
That happened to me at the Troc this weekend.
It happens to me all the time.
Sold out 5 shows at the Troc, and I go and I cut the line, and the owner's like, "Who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of here!" And I was like, "I'm Bert," and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, I know, it just happens. Yeah, it's yeah.
But dude, I think you're fucking phenomenal. What are your tour dates? Do you know your tour dates coming up?
Yeah, I got a couple of stuff in this month in March. I've got I'm in Rhode Island. I have to look at my own website. That's how stupid I was. I should have prepared. Yeah, I'll tell you where I am because it'll be good to have people come to my shows. I am at here we go. I'm at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, East Providence, on the 9th and 10th, and then at their other club in Massachusetts, Cabot Comedy Club, on the 11th of March. And then I'm at, this is the place, Ho Chunk Casino in Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm there for one night. Ho Chunk Casino, yeah. And that's in Wisconsin, so come to that. But I'm sure most people who are coming to that, as you know with most casino shows, are people like taking a break from losing money. They're like the worst audience because they're so mad.
Dude, the casino shows that I go to have been really fucking fun.
Yeah, because they're fun, but sometimes like people in the audience are like, how bad is it? You know,
some people
they're like cooling their heels for a bit. And then I'm at the Comedy Works in Denver, the 29th to the 31st, that whole weekend of March. And
I know these people. I know we have Denver fans. So
yeah, please, that you guys got to come to that. And then
show.
Co-host Music Hall in April. That's like April 20th. I'm at the Co-host Music Hall in upstate New York, which is just this really good dude who owns his club in Saratoga Springs, also called the Comedy Works, and books you in like a bunch of theaters. Just a cool dude, likes having comics from New York City come up and work out material. Yeah.
Well, trust me when I say you're one of my favorite people to listen to on a podcast.
Thanks, man.
And every time I listen to you,
I'm like I got to tell you, when we met, it was funny when you came up to me at that party at the Comedy Cellar. I'm like such a fan of yours that I was like, I don't want to say like starstruck, but it's like when you do you have comics you just like and you don't know? Yeah. And then you're like, you know what I mean? And then you were like, "Hey, dude, I've always wanted to." I was like, "Oh," I was trying to be like, "Yeah, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, dude." And then when I said to my girlfriend afterwards, I'm like, "Dude, that was so cool. Like, I'm such a fan of Bert." And that's, like I said, like there's this a whole group of LA guys. Like I don't know Tom either, you know, and it's like
I was talking to Tom about you.
Yeah, there's this whole group of dudes out there that like I just want to get to know, and like because I love, and they're so funny, and they seem like dudes I would hit it off with, but like I'm not out here, you know, and that's one of the reasons I'm trying to come out here more.
Just hang out more, and dude. And
so I'm tonight. Maybe come out with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see on my daughter right now, but depending on if she's real sick, I might head out, and if she's okay sick, we may be
I'm also doing the Improv Thursday with Rogan and Brian Redband's show I'm on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you can't make it out tonight, but just be fun to have some drinks and shoot the shit more.
I'd like to do that. Maybe one of the nights these weeks we'll do that, because one of the things I'm really good at, one of my really biggest strengths is introducing people.
Really?
I'm
that's really what
amazing.
I need at the Comedy Store.
I'm amazing.
Yeah, I need some interest.
Ask Chris DiStefano.
Okay.
He was out here and I was like, who do you want to meet? And he was like, what? I was like, come here, let me walk you around.
Yeah.
Because I love introducing people.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's a nice thing to hear, man. Because I do think there's a part of the industry that's like, you don't want to always approach someone and go, hey, I'm a comic. You know what I mean? Like, it's always so much nicer to have
where our ego gets a little bit in the way. We're like I know they may know me. I don't know, or I may have met them before. So me going up and saying hi, that backfired me. I saw Michael Costa, and I just got caught off guard because he had a motorcycle helmet in his hand. I didn't know he rode motorcycles, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm Bert," and he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I was like, "Oh my god, Michael, I'm so sorry." And he was like, "You're did you just big time me?" And I was like, "Oh my god,
dude, I always don't think that's big timing either. I always try to reintroduce myself to people.
I always reintroduce myself
because assuming they don't remember me. Do you know what I mean? To not make it awkward.
Yeah.
And so people think that's like big timing. I'm like, no, I think that's little timing. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm so insignificant. You probably have no idea who I am.
Well, listen, have fun on Rogan tomorrow.
Super fun. Thanks, man.
And I'll post this either tomorrow or next week, depending on.
All right. Thanks for having me on. I
appreciate it, brother.
Super fun.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
That was a blast, man. I could have done another fucking 2 hours.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.